Welcome back to AW360 Live at Advertising Week New York. I'm BJ Smith. I'm joined by Perla
Yeah.
Urquijo
You did it right.
from Kichink. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me this year.
It's fun to actually have you. So you've been hanging around a lot this week, and I've got to talk to you beforehand. So it's nice to actually have you up here on stage.
Yeah, yes, I've been here all week. It's very interesting what we're seeing and a lot of great ideas from all the panels, so I'm very excited.
So tell us what Kichink is.
Well, Kichink is a marketplace, and it's based in Mexico. We're going to open operations in different countries in the next couple of months. But we currently have 90,000 stores within our marketplace,
Wow.
and mainly local designers and musicians and local little shops that wanted to try e-commerce. And it was a little bit difficult for them to get all the logistics, getting the checkout and the design. So we created this marketplace that can get your store up in less than half an hour. Mm-hmm. We do all the logistics. We have partners, and we process pretty much every card payment, and you are up running your business in less than an hour.
So I think that is interesting. But you were saying that you're dealing with designers and musicians, which seems like an interesting, yeah. So what brings those two together?
Well, what we saw is there was some new bands that they might not have the budgets, or maybe have not been discovered by big labels, and we do have bands with big labels, don't get me wrong,
okay,
are trying to sell their merchandise, their music, their t-shirts, whatever things that are signed, and they want to go through the audiences, and they're in our country. It's a little bit difficult for a small business to get all the distribution they need, all that.
Right.
And then being part of a marketplace makes them exposed to new opportunities and more distribution, mm-hmm. And then that's pretty much what they do. For designers, is maybe the product is different, but it's also the same example. So you are fresh out of college, you have a great idea, you have no power of investment, or maybe a little bit, and you want to try if what you're designing is actually going to hit the market. So you start working on e-commerce and see which are the pieces are moving better, the collections and stuff. And then we also have other local businesses that pretty much follow the same example.
So one of the things that we talked about earlier was you're working on a way to bring some of this data together and maybe even connect the designers and the musicians.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting what we're doing. So since we're in a marketplace, we can see pretty much and we have 90,000 stores, so it's not that small of a marketplace.
Yeah.
So we've been operating for about 5 years, and then we have figured out that maybe, look, I like the shirt, and then I like country music, which I do. So what we're trying to do is hey, well, let's see what the consumer likes on a daily basis. So I know that he just bought this new album, and maybe I know this other store is going to get a pre-sale of something that he might like. So let's try to push them to know hey, you might like this, or because you bought this with this brand, let's try to get a coupon so you can do this when a second purchase comes.
Okay.
So we try to work together with the brands that are in our marketplace. So we see each other it's a huge team, right? So if you sell, I sell, we are all happy. And then we give the consumer specifically what they like.
That's crazy. So do you have any examples of how you've used some of your data to bring some things together?
Oh yeah, so we have one of our key products is a jacket. It has the tagline, Mexico is the shit. It's actually sold.
What kind of jacket?
It's just more sporty jacket,
yeah.
So you can actually get it. You can actually get it on our US site. So the phrase is actually very powerful, and then we do pre-sales with that, and then we do special sales, and it sells out within hours. So
hours?
Yeah, hours. So both in
Wow.
our Mexican site, and now we are running our US site, which is kichink.com anyway, so you can get it there. So what we do is we know when some of our consumers wanted the jacket and couldn't get it. So those are the ones that we tell first, say, hey, we have a sale now, go and get it. And they technically have 20 or 30 minutes to actually make the purchase because it always sells out.
That's crazy.
Which is very interesting. And the designer was super excited because he wanted a success and he wanted everyone to wear the jacket because we were like trying to lift up the spirit, but he wasn't expecting that. And we have done that for a couple of months and it has worn perfectly. So we're very happy.
That's fun. That's fun. So the upcoming thing is pulling the data together. Is there anything else that's
Yes.
upcoming exciting?
So we're trying to pull the data. We are pulling the data together. We're trying to work with the brands, and we also are evolving our marketing strategy. When we started, we were wanted to showcase how the brands were like having their like soul through their stores. So we were telling stories about that. We were telling like stories like, hey, how this brand was created, or how you got an inspiration about this album, and how you developed this product. And that campaign was what helped us a lot to actually get more stores.
That's interesting. Do you find certain types of stories work better than others?
Yeah, and well, what worked best was to actually have the creator of the pieces like
Right.
tell the story about it. In some cases, talking about the specific product and the inspiration about the product worked perfectly. So we follow that line with that brand, and then now we know that when we want to talk about that specific brand, then we will talk about it. And then for other brands, which is pretty much were very similar in like style and target, and the story behind the company worked better. And I think it's what they were trying to express that got everyone's attention. So what we did is try to figure out what worked better for each of the brands, and then try to follow that strategy through the years. So that's what we're doing now.
Cool. Well, Perla, thank you for joining me today.
So we're doing the goodbye in Spanish, right? So say gracias.
Yes, gracias.
Very good.
And how do we say goodbye to?
Adios.
Adios. Of course. How do I not know that?
You knew that.
Spanish 4 in college. See how well that's treated me. So I will say adios from Advertising Week New York. We'll be back soon.
Thanks.